The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry has anticipated further improvements in the nation's quarterly output performance following the commencement of coronavirus vaccination exercise and the significant moderation in infection numbers. The president of the chamber, Mrs. Toki Mabogunje, made this known at the quarterly press conference on the state of the economy on Wednesday in Lagos. Mrs. Mabogunje adds that the global economic recovery would be given the sustained policy support by various national governments and their respective monetary authorities.
Looking forward, we anticipate that 2021 first quarter GDP performance will influence the committee's decision at its next meeting in May. While we acknowledge the federal government's drive in boosting revenue mobilization via the Strategic Revenue Growth Initiative, it is even more important for state governments to be very innovative about revenue generation. We note that the majority of Nigeria's debt is not linked to assets or specific projects. As such, it is critical to create a national asset register and have a coordinated mechanism in place for valuing and managing Nigerian assets.
Smuggling and counterfeiting has been highlighted as one of the major obstacles to economic growth and development of any nation, as this has ripped off many producers, manufacturers, and stakeholders of the benefits of their investments and also prevented the industry from rapid financial growth and development. With the economy witnessing a lockdown from some parts of 2020, the latest H2 2020 data from the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria have shown that the nation's manufacturing production value declined by 5.02 trillion naira in 2020, while unsold goods rose higher to 577.6 billion naira during the period. According to MAN, the electrical and electronic sector group accounted for over 33% of total inventories of unsold manufactured products in the period, as the country continues to deal with the challenges of low patronage, high smuggling, and products counterfeiting, which rubbed off negatively on inventories. Very worrisome trend. Well, I have joining me live via Skype to have a robust chat on this and other issues surrounding smuggling and, of course, counterfeiting of electrical products into the country. She is the chairman, Electrical and Electronic Sector of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, and the chief executive officer of Cotix PLC, Mrs. Ijeoma Oduonye. I hope I pronounced that name very well. Good afternoon to you. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, dear.
All right.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, all right then. First, I want to go back to what's been playing out in the sector before COVID and the effects of COVID and what we have at the moment. The second wave was slightly getting out of it in Nigeria, but I know this has affected business in its entirety. Take us through what it's been like. You're a player in the field.
So, thank you. So the thing is, before COVID, and now the manufacturers, with particular emphasis on the electronic sector, it's really not been easy for us. The challenges we have cut across the struggle of getting your forex, trying to clear your consignments at the port, the congestion, then regulations coming here and there, not known to players before now, that can contribute to undue delay in the clearing of your consignment. So the end of it all is that the turnaround time from the time you start your purchase to when you get your product is just nothing to write home about. Okay, so the challenge is there and the local manufacturer is struggling with it, and you now have these products you're working on bringing in, as in your material that will help you to come out with your finished product, being counterfeited. So you go out into the market space, you see products bearing your name, but they are not your products. And like you rightly pointed out, you see it eating into the market share of the local manufacturer, and it's not what we want for the country.
Now, people talk about Nigerian cables. Now, let's just come to that level. They say Nigerian cables are the best in the world. Now, why? What is the challenge? Why? What level are we in regards to production? Are we meeting demands before we now go into counterfeiting and other issues? Because if we have the best of cables, what then is the problem?
So, like I pointed out, we are not meeting demand because of a number of problems that are really avoidable. I pointed out the forex. Like an example is, it takes you nothing less than 10 weeks to get your LC funded for the purchase of the raw materials. And like we know, copper, aluminium are the basic raw materials in the cable industry. So Nigeria doesn't have aluminium at all. The quality of aluminium needed for the quality of cable you want to produce, you don't have it in Nigeria. And this product is one of the 41 items that were banned. So it takes you upwards of 3 months to get your pro forma invoice approved in the first place. And of course, CBN doesn't fund that transaction. So you have to go out of your way to try to source your forex at a higher price. You know, the exchange rate is higher. So at the end of the day, your costs before the product comes into the market is already higher than what your competitor, other parts of the world, are selling the same product. So it affects our ability to meet the demand. Okay, before we talk about the turnaround time, the avoidable delays that we experience at the port, the congestion is not helping matters any bit. But the customs are also part of the problem because they come up with regulations almost every month, and these regulations are not known beforehand, so you don't even prepare for them. And when you want to take your consignment, they tell you, oh, this came up, the other one came up, and they delay. And this makes you pay demurrages, and then finally the tax man comes and says, I write back these expenses, you're going to pay the tax on them and also pay the interest on them. So it is really difficult for us.
I can really imagine what you're going through running your own business. It's not supposed to be this bad. Now let's look at the issue of smuggling and counterfeiting, faking of cables. Now, what's being done? Yeah. I know before now, I think the Standards Organization of Nigeria used to do something around standards and quality of whatever comes into the country. What is playing out? Are they now like a dog, a toothless dog, like some will say?
Well, I wouldn't say they are toothless. I want to reverse this question to say, in the first place, how do these fake products find their way into the Nigerian market?
Okay,
so that's the question that really needs to be answered, and answered frankly. So for me, our men at the port don't seem to be doing what they are required to do. Okay, like you pointed out, the locally manufactured cable can stand the test of time. It's comparable to any quality product from any part of the world. Okay, so this is what we prepare and want to bring to our people out there as buyers. So the question is, why should we allow this counterfeited one, which, without gainsaying the fact, is just below the standard? Because if they get exactly what is comparable with the locally manufactured product, their cost will be higher. You get, because you're paying a higher duty for a finished product you're bringing into the country. But when we get the raw materials and we produce, of course, we have the standards that we're making sure we'll comply with. They come check your product every 3 months, and they give you the nod that you're doing fine. Okay, so the question is, why should we allow them come in the first place? I see a gap there. It needs to be addressed. Then when they are now in the market, I agree, the Sun, we're working with them, like the Cable Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, working with Sun to try to identify these counterfeiters and to bring them to book. But I tell you, in all honesty, I can't give a high five to say Sun is measuring up to expectation there, as in making sure that the people identified are really brought to book as required. Because if this is done and consistently at that, they will be discouraged. When we begin to see products confiscated and burnt physically, everybody is seeing it on the telly, it will discourage people from going into that, because they know it's going to be complete loss to them at the end of the day. But I don't see more of this happening.
Well, that's true. Anyway, at times we see like the NDLEA and some agencies burning of drugs, and we see SON2 tires at times, and we see some contrabands being bought. Now, what about local patronage? That is something that is also key, because many times we talk about Nigerians not wanting to patronize Nigerians. So that's promoting local content here now. Now, what would you say? Discos need to work with you, the TCN, ministries and departments of government. How well have they been doing business with locals like you?
Well, they are doing business, but they can do more. They are doing businesses with local manufacturers, but they can do more. For me, the local manufacturers pay their taxes to the government. They fund the government. So the money should be spent 100% in Nigeria. What it does is it helps the local manufacturer. So you're helping the government to provide internally generated funds. You're helping the government to create employment opportunities for the population. So it should be enough incentive to make sure that everything that can be produced in Nigeria for government purpose should be patronized. So what I see is there is a percentage. The local content thing, they're trying, I must say, but we look forward to more.
As a member of MAN, I also like to ask you this. I know you've talked partly about it earlier, but we're always talking about backward integration. When are we going to get to that point where we'll also start to source some of these materials for production in country? What percentage are we if we are to rate it?
Okay, so for me, I will speak from the cable industry.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know some local manufacturers are already researching and trying their hands on local mining of copper. Aluminium, not much yet, but copper, we have manufacturers that are already working on them. So with the proper enabling environment from the government, because I tell you, it's a capital-intensive project. So with a good backing from the government, 2-3 years down the line, we can begin to get locally manufactured copper in Nigeria. And this is about, say, 80% of the raw material you need to get your cables in Nigeria.
Let's also talk about we've talked about the counterfeiting thing, and I still want to go take it from another angle. Now, many people also say at times that Nigerian manufacturers, not you, go outside, go abroad, and go, like you said, you see your own product and you know this is not my product. They take our products outside the country and say, okay, this is A, I want you to make A for me, but it should be substandard. Now, why would a business person go to this length? You know, is it just to make money? Or are we not just thinking about how we can better the lot of the country? I'm worried. Why do we have this? What can be done to stop ugly?
So your worry is as good as mine. So the question is, why would somebody in the first place want to delve into what he doesn't have knowledge of? Okay, so we're not worried about local manufacturers, more local manufacturers springing up. You come up, meet the standard and produce. It's fine, okay? But the problem is, why do you go and copy? You pirate, you counterfeit some other person's product, and of course you reduce the standard so that you make more money. You get? So I would say it's because of self-centeredness. So the person is not thinking about the good of others, because that product, I tell you, is hazardous. So in Nigeria, if we get power 24/7 for like 1 week, a lot of buildings will go up in flame because the cables cannot withstand the heat. Okay, so the saving grace people are seeing now is that, okay, sometimes you get power is erratic, it's epileptic, so before it heats up to a hazardous level, the light goes off, so the heat goes down again. So people really don't get to know the risk they are exposing themselves to. Lives, building, property, everything. by buying substandard. And like you pointed out, the average Nigerian believes that anything imported is better than locally made. It may play out in some products, but when it comes to electronics, when it comes particularly to cable, the difference is the case. The reverse is the case, rather. You get so because the Standard Organization of Nigeria checkmates local manufacturers, and before you see your product SON certified, you're meant to comply with some stringent standards that are non-negotiable. You don't play about it. Okay, so it is when it comes to cable, I speak authoritatively that Nigerian made cables, SON certified Nigerian made cables can compete with those from any part of the country, any part of the world that is known for quality products. Especially we have the CAMAN, that is Cable Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, the members there. Okay, so before you're a member of that association, you must be known for the quality of products you're doing. You get so the answer to your question is that people are self-centered, people morale is down, people are not as humanity. You don't think of what happens to the man that buys this substandard product tomorrow. You're just interested in the money for the today. And when the building goes up in flame, you care little about it. So that's the problem. And so, of course, you talk about the unemployment that can come about when a manufacturer cannot sell and so cannot pay its bills, cannot pay salaries. You lay off your staff. It brings about hardship in a number of families just because of what one man is doing. A single man, an importer. Okay, and also because of some of the authorities that want to keep close eyes, maybe because of some interests. So you want to keep deaf ears to what is happening, and these things find their way into the country.
Almost finally, as an association, are you trying to speak to government? Are you trying to speak to agencies, at least to look at all of these issues? And if you are to advise government, okay, you are now in the position to advise government, yes, on television now. What do you think should be the quick wins to address all of these lapses? Because for me, I want made in Nigeria companies to thrive. We need to promote our own.
Exactly. So the thing is, you empower the local manufacturer, you help the economy globally, as in for the country, you get. So it's my earnest desire that the government will first look at the ease of doing business in Nigeria. So I wonder why I cannot get Forex from the CBN as a known manufacturer in the country, but I can get it easier from third parties, individuals in the country. It's a no-no. It's a no-no. It shows the government is not putting its money where its mouth is. So you empower the local manufacturer. This person is able to create employment opportunities. You take the youth off the street, you reduce the crime rates. So it's like helping the government. So the private sector, we really need this attention. That's one. And then another, and more importantly for me, is that we should look at what is coming into our country. Our space should not be made a dumping ground. It shouldn't be made a dumping ground. Okay? So the government needs to really be up to this tax and look at what is coming in and stop that practice, nip it at the bud, so that you don't see your products, you're busy preparing to come out with something good and you're going to the market. And for my industry, the unsuspecting public might not even decipher the difference between the substandard products and the quality products. For that one, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. And like I pointed out, if we start getting power supply as required, wow, the news will just go there. You see buildings going up in flame. So if they really want to help local manufacturers, they should stop the influx of these substandard products into the country. They don't have wings. They didn't fly in. They came in through our ports here. And we have regulatory bodies there that are making sure, that are meant to make sure that these things not coming in the first place. So the government should do that, and then finally, our money should be spent within the country. I tell you, if I go to the cable space again, the local manufacturers, if well empowered, can produce and supply every cable need of Nigerian government. So no sense in saying I do a percentage for the local content thing and the others will go out. No, this is our money going out to other people, giving them opportunity to improve their countries, to create more employment there. So we want to add value to these products, and we want the products to be bought by our government and citizens. In fact, as we're preparing to go for the African Free Trade Zone thing, you see that we're already at a disadvantaged position if we are not well empowered by governments. The private sector cannot do this alone. So that is my submission.
All right there, and it's a very good way to leave it there. Very nice talking to you, Mrs. Ijeoma Oduonye. She's the chairman of the electronic sector of the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, electrical and electronic sector, and also the CEO, Cortex PLC. We appreciate your time. We hope to have you join us again anytime soon.
That'll be my pleasure. Bye.
All right, then. Enjoy the rest of your day.